to see all of you here today. We do have a lot of people out of town. The Suggs family is in Pineapple, Alabama this weekend. The Kemp family is in Montgomery this weekend. The other part of the Rutledge family is in Michigan with Jaleel this weekend. We just got people all over the place, but we're glad to have you here in the place today. Amen? Amen. Also, I'm just glad to have some classmates as well as neighborhood, longtime friends fellowshipping with us today. This was the Banks Jets weekend. Y'all see I got on my Banks blue today. Got my Jet blue today, and just so glad to have them here fellowshipping with us today, as well as another one of my very, very close friends, Mr. James Baskerville. Often I tell stories about me and James, how we hung out, and actually we told the stories. He shared some with the group yesterday. Mary said yes about us yesterday, and so grateful to have him here in the place. I'll share this real quick. When me and Eric used to be young, my dad of course was a preacher, and one of the things that we would be, and I hate to say it, but we'd be drinking and saying this. He would say, you know, fool, one day you're going to be a preacher, and I'm going to be the deacon. And we would be drinking communion at the same time. But he is such a great friend of mine. Glad to also have Sister Tracy's brother and sister-in-law from Dothan, Alabama. So we just glad. Just raise your hand over there. Amen. Glad to have them here visiting with us today as well. One more thing, Brother Andre mentioned about me talking about Brother Eric last week. Let me share what I shared with the church, was that we were talking about how important it is that we have community and fellowship and support one another. And I was sharing with them, and y'all may not even know this story as well, was that when my dad died, I was devastated. I'm talking about, I was devastated. And Eric took off that whole week and was at my house every day. And he was cutting up like he was. But it helped me in a season where I felt like I was losing my mind. So if I've never told him, I'm going to tell him today, I appreciate that week that he spent with me. And because if anybody ever lost one of your loved ones, you know how devastating it is and how important it is to have somebody there with you every day. And I mean literally every day he came to the house and he stayed himself, and it helped me survive an incredible, devastating season in my life. So just want you to know he been my road dog for the longest, and I appreciate his heart for me in a time when I need it. So, and we try to build that same type of relationships in the church. How important is those relationships in a church that we have the vision to see that? Amen? So we've been doing this series on vision. Come on, say vision. Vision. You got to know what your vision that God has for you. I told you last week, John 10:10, Jesus said, I came that you might have life. That's his vision for you. It's his vision that you have abundant life. And that's a God quality of life. That's what God wants for you. And so it's important that we experience that. And so I've been giving you scripture based on Matthew chapter 28, verse 17 through 20. The ushers should have passed out some handouts that you can look at the passages of scripture. Matthew chapter 28, verse 17 through 20. I'm going to read it for you. And it says, and when they saw him, they're talking about Jesus, they worshiped him. But some doubted. And Jesus came and spake to them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the world. How important it is for you to know, first of all, to see Jesus for who he is. You know he's the Savior of the world. You got to see that part in your life. He is the Savior of the world. But then you gotta follow what he's trying to tell us to do in this passage. And he wants us to go and make disciples and teach them about Jesus and then have a good vision. And so we came up with some principles that we believe are vital to your personal vision that applies to any area of your life. And I gave you 5 things a few weeks ago. The first thing was principles. You got to live by principles. Number 2, you got to recognize your potential and then grow your potential. Come on, say grow your potential.
Grow your potential.
And then you got to know that you're going to have some problems. Amen. How do you know that? This one thing about life. I don't care how often you go to church or pray. You're going to have some problems. That's just the way it goes. I don't even care how good you've been. Amen. You are going to have some problems. So one of the things is that we got to understand is that we got to know that we're going to have problems. And so we got to learn how to deal with our problems. We got to know that we're going to have problems. We got to examine our problems. And then if it's within us, we got to fix our problems. Come on now.
Amen.
One of the things is we want to fix everybody else's problems, right? You know what I'm talking about. We want to tell other people about their problems. But one thing that's really important is that we understand that we got them too.
Amen.
The fourth one is there's a process of life to carry out your personal vision. Sometimes we want it right now, but process is not a right now process. There's no such thing as a right now process. And then the 5th thing is progression. In other words, we need to hit some of our goals. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I want to hit some of my goals. Amen. I want to see them come to manifestation and say, wow, how good is God in my life? Because I see some of the things that I start planning for begin to happen in my life. So we want to see progression. Amen. Amen. So we talked about principles. I want to give you a few again in principles. Principles are what you live by that produces a desired goal. We should all have them. You should have some principles that you live by that will produce when you live by them. Amen. Success principle is to be diligent. Say diligent.
Diligent.
Now let me tell you what diligent is. Diligent is having or showing care or conscientiousness in one's work or duty. It implies a desire to do a task well and to take obligations to others seriously. Now I want you to really get this right here. When we talk about operate principles and being diligent, this thing works whether it's your marriage, whether it's your financing, whether it's your parenting, whether it's your goal is to elevate on your job. All these things apply. Watch this. It applies that if I take the principles of wanting to care about success on my job, eventually benefits come back to you. Amen. Diligence is a principle of a seed. The more I am diligent about whatever it is I do, it's a seed that I plant that grows.
That's right.
I guarantee my wife would say, the more diligent Roderick is in being a good husband, the more production he gets out of his marriage.
All right.
Come on now. Come on now. One of the things that will happen is that when we are diligent in whatever we do, if we're diligent in parenting, the more productivity we get out of being a parent. Come on, somebody. Whatever it is on your job, go and do your job the absolute. Be conscientious of doing your job the absolute best. One of the things I decided some years ago, that when I come to my job, I'm going to give them my absolute best, even when they wasn't giving me a raise. Oh, y'all better get it right here. I decided that I was going to show up and do my job the absolute best, and then I'd go in there and still ask for a raise. But even when I didn't get it, I still came in. I'm going to do my job the absolute best. Come on, I need you to follow this. Because if we believe the principles of success work, then you stay diligent with it no matter what's going on around you. Because we believe that we serve a God that blesses us. We believe that blessings come from above, that elevation comes from on top, not from down low. Amen. So we have to believe and stay diligent into the principles of what we believe, and we got to do our task well. We got to take the obligations that we make to others serious. I guess y'all thinking about that one. Yeah, we must take the obligations that we make to others seriously. It's a principle of success. What do you mean by what I mean is you want to be somebody, I take what my obligations to them seriously, so whenever some come around, they're going to say, one thing I know, I can count on Roger. I can count on Andre. I can count on Baskerville. I can count on Carol. I can count on Angie. I can count on people. You want to be diligent in what you do, so when things come up, they say, one thing I know, I can count on Mom. You want to be a dependable person. Amen. It's a principle of success. Amen. Let's look at another scripture. Proverbs 9, verse 10. Proverbs is a book of wisdom, right? It's going to teach you how to be wise in what you do. Listen at this. It says, whatever you do, do well. Listen at this. For when you go to the grave, there will be no more work or planning or knowledge or wisdom. You know, we got a time and then our time is up. Amen. So whatever you do, do it well. We was talking at the reunion yesterday, and I was telling them, I'm so glad that I've been coming the last 3 years to these reunions, because we are all getting older. And man, we still have to cherish the relationships that God gave us. Do you know that God gave you and set you up in relationships and neighborhoods and different things, and work relationships and personal relationships that are beneficial to your life? You should cherish them because they add value to you. Come on, somebody. They add value to you. You are successful because other people have added value to you. Bro, Baskerville, one of the things I don't mind telling the church is that all the time that I used to get drunk. You know why I don't mind telling them? Because I want them to know how far God brought me. Amen. And it was a bunch of times, and I'm relating that to God adding value by giving you relationships. There were times when I was tore up, and I wouldn't have been able to drive, and Mr. Baskerville would drive me home. Amen. People that God give you in your life add value. Add value to your life. You need to value the people that God placed in your life. Come on, somebody. Amen. Amen. I thank God for the value. I thank God that the neighborhood that we grew up in, I had adults that added value to my life. And part of that value is keeping me straight. Come on. Amen. When they saw me doing wrong, they added value, but sometimes they added value. And one of the things that we should do as parents and as church members is that we should add value to the people that God connects us with in our churches, in our neighborhoods. You should add value. If you see one of them kids in church acting up, you should say, hey, come here, just like they used to do us. Amen. The kids want value it today, but one day they will value it. Amen. Amen. This principle applies to any goal, any endeavor, for you to be hardworking and thorough in what you do. Principles. The second one is potential. Come on, say potential.
Potential.
Potential is connected with your possibilities. What do? You got to grow your potential. How do you do that? You develop skills. Come on, say develop skills.
Develop skills.
One of the things is that you should develop some skills in your life. Amen. Now, it depends on what is my goal. If I want to be a good husband, I need to develop good husband skills.
Come on now.
Amen. I should develop. If I want to be a good wife, I should develop good wife skills. Watch this. If I want to be a good friend, then I should develop good
Friend skills.
If I want to be good on whatever job I do, then I should develop those skills in my job. Amen. One of the things that I've told you before is that I'm doing a job now where I work at that I didn't have the qualifications to do. But what they saw is that I was thorough and a hard worker. And they figured we can train him because he's thorough enough and hard-working enough to make it happen. Can I tell you this? Is that sometimes your hard-working and your thoroughness, your discipline in how you live, you being diligent in how you do things can elevate your life where some else can't.
Amen.
Your potential. So you gotta work on your skills in whatever you do. Decide that I want to be the best at that. Amen. And then hone your skills in. Amen. I know the Auburn fans might not want to hear this, but it's going to be about my football coach. Amen. Nick Saban was doing a football camp with kids. And he was asking the kids, them, well, what do you like to do the best? And one little kid raised his hand, and what he said was, I love to play PlayStation. And then he said, well, are you getting better at it? And he said, no. And he said, why? He said, why would you love to do something and not have the absolute desire to get better at it? Amen. One of the things about what we should do is no matter what it is, you should decide that I want to be the absolute best at it. Amen. I don't know about y'all, but I used to hate to lose. I hated to lose. Hated to lose. Bothered me to lose. After we lost, I went home and I just couldn't talk to people. I mean, it just bothered me to lose. So people was wondering why I worked out in the gym hall. It's because I didn't want to lose. Why did me and Baskerville run all the way from home down to East Lake Park, around the park, and back home? Because we did not want to lose. One of the things that you should get a drive about you, whether it's in your marriage, in your finances, on your job, is, hey, I don't want to lose. Amen. So I start working on my skills. I start becoming better at who I am. So your potential is connected to that. And favor is part of your potential that helps you grow. And faith, come on, say faith. So faith is connected to the word. Faith comes by hearing. And hearing what? The word. So one of the things in my potential, I got to have some faith, right? I got to believe. Let me give you a few faith scriptures about your potential. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. You done heard it all your life. But I want us to grab hold to it and operate in your potential of your vision to what you're going to achieve, right? Watch this. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. One of the things about your potential is that you got to decide that there is nothing too hard for me and God together.
All right now.
You got to start putting your faith connected to that, work on your skills, and watch what happens in your life. Watch what happens in your relationships. Watch what happens in your finances. Watch what happens on your job. Watch what happens, watch this, in your church. We started this series talking about vision for the church. Watch this. Now, I told you, I hate to lose. Amen. Now, as a pastor, one of the things that we see winning and losing is people getting saved. Amen. It's people in the door. Now, if you wonder why sometimes I come down here and sometimes I'm praying hard and sometimes I come in and I get on the the altar myself and I'm praying, and I'll just tell you sometimes I'm down here crying because when I look out and I see empty seats, I feel like I struck out. When I come and I see empty seats, I feel like they tackle me for a 3-yard loss. When I come in and I see empty seats, one of the things I see is that we threw an interception. I hate to lose. It bothers me to lose. Baskerville was telling them yesterday, he said, that dude down, he was too competitive. I mean, we would go, me and him, because we love to play cards, we would go different places and play cards. And we'd be dead serious. Gisella shaking her head on that because she can see me. But I don't like to lose. We got some men that we go bowling sometimes. And at first we be up there just laughing. Then we get about the 6th frame. Bro Andre, he was shaking that leg. and Bro Cedric, he'll be sitting back in the back not talking to nobody. And before long, you see, he done took the lead on everybody. Me and Bro Dre start laughing and get serious. Why? Because we don't like to lose. We should take that mentality about our relationships, about our money, about our job, about our parenting, about our church, about life. You shouldn't want to lose in relationships. And relationships is not just talking about whether you're a husband or a wife. Any relationships. Any relationship that God gives you, you should say, I don't want to lose right there. Come on, say, I win.
I win.
I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Mark 9:23. It says this. It says, Jesus said unto them, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. One of the things that we got to get in our faith thing is I believe that I can win. I believe that I can succeed. I believe that my relationship can be successful. I believe that I can be successful on my job. I believe that I can run the whole department. Hey, I ain't getting no amen right now. Y'all got to start believing. You got to start believing that, hey, I can run the whole department. I'm gifted. I'm anointed. God chose me for this. That's why I'm good at it.
That's right.
If you don't believe in yourself, do you think your boss don't believe in you? I believe. We was in a meeting about 3 years ago on my job, and the owner of our company, he said, I just feel uncomfortable about, sometimes communicating with people. Sometimes I'm just not even sure I should be running this company. I said, I'll run it for you. Everybody in there started laughing. I was looking dead serious. I said, I'll run it for you. He was looking like, this guy crazy. No, this guy mean it. Amen. This guy means that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Amen. This guy believes that God can do anything. Watch this. If he can save me,
All right now.
then what can he not do with me?
All right now.
If he can turn me around, if he can put my feet on solid ground, if he can do the things that he's done in my life, then why can't I believe that?
All right now.
Why can't I believe that? Why? Why you can't believe that? Why you can't run coke? Why you can't? Why you can't? Why you can't run Top Golf? Why you can't? Why you can't? Why we can't? If we believe, we got a vision for it. I believe. Watch this. Why can't everybody in this neighborhood know Jesus? Why they can't? We know Jesus.
All right now.
I certainly wasn't no better. Amen. Amen. Y'all know I came straight from French Quarters on a Saturday night to the altar on Sunday. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Amen. I came straight from Long Island Tees, amen, to communion on Sunday. Come on, man.
On his knee.
If God can't, if he can do something with my life, why can't he do something if he can do that in your spiritual life, he can do some things in your natural life.
That's right.
But you got to have vision for it. Amen. Romans 8:37. Nay, in all things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. Listen at this. You got to believe that you're more than a conqueror. There's people sitting here right now going through some stuff, right? If you're going through some stuff, you got to know and have a vision that I am going to conquer this trouble. I'm going to conquer this problem. I'm going to conquer this issue. Why? Because I'm connected to God who conquered it all. Amen. But you got to believe it. Come on, just nudge your neighbor and say, I believe this.
I believe it.
Mark 11:23, it says, for verily I say unto you that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed from that and cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatever he saith. Now watch this. This ain't just random stuff. Watch this. You just can't go out there and tell somebody you see they got money in their pocket and say, that money in your purse is mine. We're not talking about that kind of crazy. I mean, some people can do that now that I think about it.
Right.
Y'all might have missed that, but we just keep moving right now. Listen at this. One of the things is you got to connect what you believe to your mouth. You got to stop saying, woe is me, and yea is me. Amen. Don't woe you, yea you. Amen. Remember, I can do. Come on, you believe that? If you believe that, then change what you're saying out of your mouth. Start saying that, hey, me and my marriage is successful. Me and my children, my parenting is. My children going to be amazing kids. My finances are on their way up. Amen. I will have elevation on my job. Amen. My church, every seat shall be filled. Amen. Because I'm going to be diligent. I'm going to hone my skills. I'm going to believe in my heart. Come on, say, I believe. I believe. So you got potential. So why should you know you have potential? Why should you know you have potential? This is why you should know you have potential, because you're going to have problems. That's right. Check that out. You need to know that you have potential, because when I know I have potential, my problems begin to look smaller.
Amen.
If you don't realize you got potential, your problems get bigger than you. It begins to get bigger than your faith. He said, if you believe, you will say to the mountain. One of the things that Brother Drake mentioned about a few weeks ago, he said, you got to start calling things that ain't what you need them to be. Amen. Amen. That trouble you was having, just call it a trip. That's a trip. It ain't never a trip. Amen. Amen. You got to start calling it what it is. You got to speak what it is. You got to say and believe what it is. You got to settle it in your own faith. Amen. You got to settle it that I can handle any problems that I have. Amen. So one of the reasons you got to know you have potential is because you know you're going to have some problems. Just